We're now going to talk about opening up and getting QGIS ready to work first of all. This might sound a little bit basic, but there are quite a few programs that are installed when you install QGIS, so it can be a bit confusing. So go to your Start menu, scroll down to your Qs. Now I actually use the less stable version, but don't worry about that. The functionality is broadly the same in terms of the user interface, and any differences we can talk about in class as well. So mine says QGIS 3.4, yours will say 2.3 or 2.4. And within this, you'll then see a number of different programs. This is why I say it can be a bit confusing. Don't worry about any of these down here. You just want whichever system says QGIS desktop, and there's nothing else after it, just like that. So click on that and it will start to open. Now, patience and a cup of tea is necessary at this point, because on most laptops you'll find QGIS takes quite a bit of time to open. So here's one I prepared earlier. When it opens, you may have a slightly different looking setup to this, but don't wait too much. We'll show you how to get the setup looking fairly standard for the rest of the class during this video. Now, if you go up to View, you can go down to Panels, and I like to set up a browser. So if you click on Browser, you'll see this little beauty of folders come down here. And I like to be able to see my layers. So again, down to Panels, and click on Layers. Okay, and you'll get these two folders together. I also set up these little buttons down by the side. You might find that they're actually up on this menu bar. Don't worry too much about that. Now, something very obvious is missing at the moment. There is no map, but there is a nice big white blank space. So in order to get a map on there, we need to either upload a map in or draw on a mapping service. You'll see various different solutions online for this. Many of them make you things which are a bit too complicated. We're going to do something much simpler than that. If you go down to Browser, you'll see something called XYZ Tiles here. If you open it up, as a default, you should have OpenStreetMap on here. And if you double click on OpenStreetMap, a map will mysteriously appear. So you are now in the business of, you have got a map which you can do stuff with. And for many of you who are familiar with Bing Maps, Google Maps, you have got the sort of functionality that you are used to. The only difference being we now have a piece of software which we can accurately perform calculations and add layers to a little bit more effectively than just with a web interface such as Google Maps or Bing. So there are other services you can add on here as well. If you go to XYZ and right click, you can create a new connection. And you'll get this folder and it'll ask you to name it. So for example, we might put in Google satellite views, and it will then ask you to put a URL in at this point. So this is where you need to know exactly what to put in. I'm going to provide with the video a link to a very helpful list of information about the correct maps. So here we have Google Satellite. You just cut and paste that hyperlink in, and click OK. Every other setting can stay as default. If we just deselect OpenStreetMap here, we do that by going to Layers and removing that. You'll see now on your tiles you also have Google Satellite as an option. Now if we double click on this, as if by magic, a satellite view appears. And again, looks very much like Google Earth. Funnily enough, that's where the mapping comes from. Okay, so at this stage, you may find that the other bit missing is a search box that allows you to get to various different locations on the map. So there's a number of different ways of locating. We'll go through those in a future video. But generally speaking, you've actually got a set of data and that set of data, when you upload it, will automatically change the view so that you're looking at that data on the map. So you don't need to worry too much about that. We'll keep the remove the Google satellite view, and we'll use OpenStreetMap for the moment, just because it's a little bit clearer to see when we've got pins on it. And we will look at uploading our first piece of software. But we'll go to the next video for that, so that we keep these videos quite short and punchy. So far you have got QGIS open, you have got the mapping software connected, and you've got your browser set up into quite a nice format. And that is where we'll start on the next video.